Okay, Miss Higgins, how long have you been a resident of East Austin?
78 years.
And you were raised?
I was born and raised here in Austin, on the east side.
Okay, what are some of the changes that you recognize from the time you were younger to now? What are some of the changes you've seen?
More integration of other groups.
Change the east side. How did that make you feel about them moving to this side of town and taxes going up and people having to move out because they couldn't afford to pay for the property taxes?
Oh, well, you know, you don't really like it when people have to move because of taxes, but then we need to pay the taxes. And then the others, younger generation coming to this side, was fine because people were fixing up their houses so they could move over here in them, you know, college students and stuff like that. But then you were getting some that were buying homes over here, and that was same difference because I have children of all ages, so it didn't mean a whole lot. It was okay.
But then I think about, I know there was a lot of talk with the influx of a lot of different races coming over here, but I go back to like in the 70s and the 80s, there was like a black flight. Everybody was trying to move to Pflugerville. You know, we were moving to Pflugerville and moving away from the community, which I felt like left it open. It left it open for, you know, lots of change and different people to move in. And then, again, some of us sold the homesteads.
More of the newer residents, which are mostly Caucasian, are making more of the decisions and reporting to City Council about changes that need to be made in East Austin, with the exclusion of members that have been here, like yourself, for 55 years and so.
Well, I feel very comfortable about it. It's it gives us more community work and community things to do with each other, and to get to know each other helps a lot too.
What do you think could be done to include old and new members more so in working together in order to make better changes and improvements in East Austin?
Well, right now, like it is now, when I first came here, uh, different people just didn't have too much to say or do with one another. But now, we all can come together as a community, and since we've been having these meetings and things, get to know one another, and the children get to know one another, and going to the same schools and all. So, and we all helping in the schools as volunteers, and that brings us closer together also.
Would you be interested in going to a East Austin general community meeting to discuss changes that need to be made and improvements that need to be made?
Sure, I love that.
Did you know that there was a council, a group of mainly Caucasian people who regularly meet together to represent East Austin?
No, I really didn't know that.
How do you feel that about the fact that you didn't know about the meeting?
Well, I kind of feel left out because I thought the community, like out here where we're living in Craigwood subdivision, that we were pretty close neighbors because we associate ourselves with each other and go to church with each other. And I thought it was that we were, but we wasn't meeting and trying to make ourselves come closer to one another to be a community. But some of us have been doing it for quite a while.
Thank you. So, did you know that there was a team consisting of majority Caucasian people who meet together, who are new residents of East Austin, to make recommendations to City Council and Town Hall for the East Austin community? If you did know, like, when the meetings were, would you be interested in attending?
Probably not. Probably not. Because I know how that shit works. Nothing that we want to happen, it will happen. It never works that way. It's whatever's cheaper and benefits them, not us. So I know the system.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate y'all.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Me too.
Well,
My name is Bertram Allen. My family, I guess that neighborhood says we were always in that neighborhood. Because my grandmother was in that neighborhood when that house was probably built.
And what neighborhood is that?
That's the 13th Chicago Street area.
So at that time, did everybody pretty much know their neighbors and know everybody that lived around them?
They were. They all had to go to the old black high school, Anderson, which was about a mile from there. Then they all had to go to Keeling, which was about 3 blocks from there.
Right.
And before they moved to Anderson over there on Thompson Street, it was Anderson and Keeling right there in Pennsylvania. So they all knew each other. It was a real tight-knit community. What started bringing a lot of them together was they were a close-knit neighborhood, and they used to call it our part of town. Not because they wanted to, because they were forced, this is your part of town. And where it started going down was in the introducing of crack and more opportunities.
Okay.
Because before 1970, there was just not many opportunities for a black man. There were just more, actually, 4 fields they could go into. You could be a cook, clean, shine shoes, cut grass. That's it. We don't want to get into the way things were in those days, because that's a long story. But back to this one, what happened with the communities in the 70s, more opportunities, and the old established people that championed the community and everything, they died. And the others came into the communities, they said, well, I don't want to be boxed inside the, I'm able to move other places, and I will move. So the neighborhood, the change, which at one time it was a self-contained community.
Talk more about change, like you did with me earlier, where you talked about change has to keep happening. And
You don't want to feel boxed in and say, I can't. And one of the reasons when they closed up Old Anderson, they said, whites will not come over here.
okay.
And they used to talk about coming over here to the ghetto. And I used to have to tell them that there are blacks over here, that everybody on the east side is not poor. And black, they're not poor.
What does the community think as you visit with folks? You know, what do you get as the general feeling from people that have been in the community about all the good stuff or things that are happening over here?
The older ones, I said the older ones over 65, they kind of resent it, but they don't want to go back to that time.
Okay.
What do they resent about it? What do you
What they resent about it is they would like the neighborhood, and one of the reasons is, I had someone tell me is that we didn't really care much about integration. We just wanted what they had. If you gave us best schools, best books, spent a lot of money on this side of town, we'd have still been saying, like, when you go up north in areas, and they have ethnic areas, they say this is a Jewish area, this is Italian, Chinese, Polish area. They could maintain that because they had the same opportunities as the rest of them, so it was no difference. So that is the thing about it. They didn't really want change. They would have preferred to keep a community, but they weren't going to get the services. So a lot of it, you hold on to things, this is our school. And one of the things that they disturb the most is education. They said they felt they got a better education at the school because the teachers were more interested in the kids because they knew them all. They knew their parents.
Do you miss any of the things that were part of that culture and that quality of life that you don't see now in East Austin?
There is one part that I do miss. Is one thing. All the black organizations, we had probably about 50.
Wow.
And these organizations used to work together to get things done on Eastside Town. Most of them are gone. We don't have them. We don't have all these little organizations that take on different causes.
Specifically, how do you see the East Side changing? How do you see in 10 years?
Residential area. There'll never be a lot of business though. It'll be a residential area. It'll be an extension. It's just like we said, East Austin. Then we said Central Austin. So this is not East Austin. This is Central. When I wrote our neighborhood, I want to see kids playing in the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, different colors. I want to see what the neighbors were. And that's what I wanted to see a little while.
What was the attraction moving into East Austin?
It was inexpensive. It was really close to downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And it was gritty. I like the diversity.
Is there anything in the community that you live in that you could see that could be done to make it better?
To incorporate the park that we have in our neighborhood, I don't think most residents even know that there's a park in the neighborhood.
It's kind of hidden back there, and it's so pretty.
I know, it's really pretty. So that's one thing that happened at Contact Team that I'm proud of is we developed Friends of Springdale Park, like a subcommittee, and I am active on that committee. And part of what I'm trying to do is get kids from Sims Elementary, kids from scouting groups, to use the park as a learning tool and connect with nature in hopes that they will develop more of a cohesive community.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to the oldsters, because there's two little ladies that are my neighbors. They both complained that kids aren't playing in the streets like they used to, and that the neighborhood doesn't feel as neighborly. Being in a position where you don't feel heard and living in a place that isn't as pretty as it could be all lead to not being involved.
Yes.
And I see so many opportunities for people